Now, at full disclosure, before I get started, I just want to make it really clear that I don't claim to be a marketing expert or a selling expert. As many of you know, I've already talked about, I'm a pretty small grower. I do this part-time. But in any case, I do know a little bit about selling microgreens and how to market them and get them in the right hands. And you guys ask me a lot just how that works out. So I thought it made sense for me to share. Even though I'm a small-time grower, if you guys keep asking, apparently some of you think that I might know something, so I'm going to do my best to answer those questions for you. So it was actually even brought up today. Somebody had actually commented on one of my videos on YouTube and asked me about it, and so I did my best to answer in a short way I could, through a comment, but I really need to go over it more in depth than that. So for the person who asked, I hope you find this video. Maybe I'll link it to you so you can see it. So anyways, selling your microgreens, in my experience, actually really starts with your packaging. So you've got to have good packaging, something that people see right away and they're like, that's nice, I like that. So I use these 16-ounce clamshells, and they're you can reclose them. They don't have like a tamper protective thing or anything where you can tell if they've been opened or shut again. That'd be a nice feature. These don't have them. So this is really nice because the microgreens, the way that they stay in this are great. And this holds 2 ounces of microgreens perfectly, which I find to be a perfect amount of microgreens for one package. So I've actually contacted my restaurant customers that buy that size package, and I've offered I can sell them in any size package they desire. If they want maybe a pound in a package or whatever, but they all come back and say, nope, we actually really like this. We go through sometimes one package like this per shift, and they really like the idea that they can just grab a fresh one right out of the fridge or their cooler, and it's good to go. So that packaging alone has actually gotten me into at least 2 stores, because when I walked in and I said, hey, I'm a microgreens grower, I'm local, I'd like to sell my product here, see how it does, I've actually had stores immediately say, you're in because of your packaging. Don't even care what the product's like. We're used to dealing with product in baggies and it's rotten and it looks gross in the baggie and everything. The packaging is worth it. I think I spend maybe 8 to 10 cents per container, something like that. The other side of that is labeling. I know you can't see that well. So I have a whole stack of labels for all the different things I grow. I grow a lot of different stuff. I've tweaked my labels. I started off at one point where I had everything I grew on one label, and then I would circle what the product was that was in the container. I didn't like that over time. I've messed with how I stamp them for the date. I've tried a sell-by date. That was really difficult and challenging to deal with because I don't really know how people are going to store them, how they're going to handle them, how long is it really going to be good for. And so I bounced between that and a harvested on date, and I settled on the harvested on date. The reason I was bouncing around was that in stores, people aren't used to seeing a harvested on date, and if they see a date that's passed, they may not even look at the part that says this was harvested on this date. They just see that it's past the date that's stamped on it. So that's why I bounced around a little bit with that, but I ended up settling ultimately on the harvested on date because that's the most honest way to do it. So labeling is important. When I was selling in stores, which I have stopped because it just wasn't worth it for me, but I used a lot of color. So I used color. I had pictures of. Let's see if I can find one. Still got one here. So I would actually use pictures of the product that's in the container. And so that would be nice and colorful and stand out. But because I only sell to restaurants right now and caterers, they don't care about that. They know what my product is. So black and white, it saves me a bit of money on printing because I print them myself. These are Avery labels, like an Avery shipping label, and they work out awesome. So that's probably one of the biggest keys. So if you want to sell your microgreens, you want to be able to market them to people, you want people to be impressed when you walk in and present yourself and you show them what you have, packaging is, for me, a key. I know a lot of people are doing bags, and I'm sure that's fine for you. For me, I like the package of a clamshell. So the other thing, how to sell your microgreens, would be to actually go and visit the restaurant. Now, when you go and visit the restaurant, that's going to be critical. So restaurants, you have to understand, are super busy. These people, they're in there and they are just busting ass, and they are not really interested in dealing with you if you show up at, let's say, about lunchtime or about dinner time or like crunch time when they're trying to prep and they're like really going because it's getting close to one of those times. So make sure you pick a good time. So if you know it's a customer that does lunch, you could do maybe 10 o'clock in the afternoon, might be good. So what you do is you walk into the restaurant, whoever is at the desk that would seat you or whatever, you walk in, you bring a bunch of samples, stuff you're going to give away for free. I do full-size samples, by the way, because it doesn't really cost that much in product. And you go in and you say, can I speak with the head chef or the manager? And so they'll ask you why you're there and such, and you just tell them, you know, I'm a local grower of microgreens, and I'd love to offer you my product. I got some free samples. They'll go talk to the chef. The chef almost definitely, if they are there, the head chef, is going to want to talk to you. Because they, in my experience, they've always been interested. Especially if you're giving away free samples. Doesn't mean they're going to buy them, but they'll take the free samples. But that's how you get in. So you talk to them. You say that they could order some right then. Or they can just take your samples and see how they like them. My experience has been, you're probably not going to hear back from them. If they don't order them on the spot, or at least set up a time for you to come back, you probably won't hear back from them because you're not the only person that walks in there with samples or whatever. Even if you leave them a card, leave them whatever, they probably won't get back to you. So what you're going to want to do is in 3 days or so, you're going to want to go back to that same restaurant at about the same time you did before, ask to speak to the person, and see how they liked them if they're ready to place an order. Now, if they loved your microgreens, they're not ready to place an order right then, you're going to want to go back again. Now, this is where I usually drop off. I don't have the time to keep like getting hold of somebody to see if they want my product. And so I don't always follow through. But I do know follow through is so critical if you want to gain that customer. So make sure you follow through. If they take your samples, they love them, follow through. Try to set up a day that you can show up every week that day and just bring a variety of stuff and they can pick from it. That works out really good for me. I do that with all my regular customers. They might have a couple things that they ask for specifically, and I know they're going to want them. But usually I'll bring an array of stuff and just say, pick from what I got. And that works out really good because now you're not held accountable to a specific order. So anyways, they love that. So for me, that works. So visiting the restaurant, that would be number 2. So number 1 was packaging. Number 2 is visiting the actual restaurant at the right time. Another way that works well for me is Facebook messaging. Almost every restaurant there is in existence has a Facebook page. So what you're going to want to do is just send them a message on Facebook, just like you would in a text message or an email or what you would say in person. Introduce yourself, tell them you're a local grower, you would love to earn their business, you would love to come in, set up a time to deliver some free samples, and from there, if they accept your offer, you handle it just the way you would if you walked in. So Facebook message for me is a great way to get hold of a business, a restaurant. Another way is email. I don't like email as much. People aren't always checking their emails. They could get lost. But email is very similar to the Facebook message. You can do it. It may work. I've found that it's easier to get hold of people through Facebook message. Another way, this is actually, I have gained customers from doing this, is so that the stores I was selling at originally these were small, like general stores, but they also carry produce and such. And by the way, they were very happy to have my product. But I've actually found that some chefs will shop at some of these general stores. And one account I've held now for over a year actually originally was buying my product through the store. And when I sell to the store, I'm selling it for $4 for a 2-ounce container, unless it's a premium microgreen, which would be 10 ounces a container, which I try not to do at the store, because if it doesn't sell, you lost too much money there. And so the store gets it for $4 a container. I mark it up for them to $6 a container. And so that means I'm missing out on $2 of my potential profit on this product. But if you can move enough volume, that's worth it. So, and anyways, a chef was buying them there. And they actually reached out to me and they wanted me to come into the restaurant and stop by because they wanted to be able to get them direct. And I was hesitant because I was like, well, yeah, I know a lot of the store sales are coming from the chef as far as for my microgreens. And then one day I was actually stocking the shelves and the chef was in there and was like, please come by. We want to talk to you. So that's how I got into that restaurant. And now I just go there directly every single week. And they've been happy with my product and I've been happy to serve them. So the thing about stores to keep in mind, 1, you're going to take a little bit of a cut in your profit. 2, if it doesn't sell, you need to replace it for free. That's the part that made me get out because my product didn't sell as much as I wanted it to at the restaurant. And 3, though, is it's really cheap marketing. So you've got now your product on a store shelf and everybody that walks by sees your microgreen sitting there. You can get immediate brand recognition. Now that comes back to something else. Sorry if I'm giving too much detail in this video, but so brand recognition. If you've got your product sitting on a store shelf and you don't come back quick enough and it starts to wilt or look bad, well, guess what that does to your brand? People look at it and they think you don't have a quality product. So it's absolutely critical that if you want good brand recognition, you revisit that store frequently and make sure that anything on the shelf that's starting to not look so good is immediately removed. I'm guessing anybody that sells any sort of produce knows that. And it's something that it just occurred to me really early on that, hey, I don't want my brand on bad product ever. So that covers the store. So you're going to get brand recognition. You might get people that see it. You might get customers because they saw it and they want it directly shipped to them. Another thing you can do is you can maybe put right on your label, contact us for direct sales. Or maybe stick like a little pamphlet on it or something that says, something about how you can deliver this directly to them at the time that works for them. So that covers stores. So another way that you can do this is Google Ads. So Google Ads can be really good at targeting. You can target by location, by interest, by whatever. The hard part is finding out what are the interests of the people who are like the head chefs and such like that, because they may not ever see that ad. But if they're searching for microgreens, they probably will see your ad. So if you're going to do the ad, you're going to want a website. The website's going to be critical to make sure you have all your product up there. I have a website. I don't even use it that much for selling because I actually never got sales off the website, to be honest. Everybody that ever bought from me bought it from me messaging them or going into the store or going in the restaurant or word of mouth. But anyways, the Google Ads is a good way to get you out there. If anybody in your local area is searching for microgreens and you do the correct targeting, Google Ads will work for you. You can do it really inexpensively. Facebook ads is another way. So Facebook ads could be maybe even a little bit better than the Google ads because everybody has Facebook. Head chefs have Facebook. Owners of restaurants have Facebook. And if you do the correct targeting, you can make sure your ad is seen by these people. It can be hard because you don't know what the interest is of a chef. Just because they're a chef doesn't mean they're interested in culinary arts. Doesn't mean they're interested in organic food. So you kind of guessing a little bit when it comes to that. But in any case, Facebook ads is a great way to get in front of your audience and try to get a good targeted ad in front of people that might be interested in your product. The other side of that, though, is you actually have to make a good ad. The ad's you gotta really spend some time on it and work on it and make sure that it pops, it stands out, it lets people know right away. If it does interest them, you want to make sure that they realize they're interested right away. So it's got to stand out in that way. A Facebook page, this is a way that I actually have gotten sales from my Facebook page. So what I do with my Facebook page, I have a Brabant Farms Facebook page, and what I usually do for the most part on that page is share photos from my customers from their Facebook pages. But I have had people see my posts on there and then want product, and that's worked out all right. I think if you're any sort of business, having a Facebook page these days is really pretty important. I don't think there's a lot out there that don't have a Facebook page. And in fact, a lot of people these days are actually not even making a website anymore and just making a Facebook page. So a Facebook page is another great way. And if you do the Facebook ads, you can actually advertise your Facebook page then so people land there, and then they can go on and see your product, see customer photos, maybe see restaurants that they compete with and see your product on their plate. Might get you in the door right there. The final way would probably be a website. Now, websites, I don't expect you to get a lot of sales from a website unless you're shipping. And so I have a website, and these days I mostly use my website to educate other growers or people that want to do it for themselves or in a business or whatever. That's mostly what I'm using my website for these days, because I find that people just don't buy from the website. I don't have a way for you to actually add to your cart and actually make a purchase, because I don't want you to be able to purchase something until I've made the commitment to grow it for you. So that's where microgreens can be kind of weird. For me, if you're a big grower, maybe you keep a big stockpile and you can fulfill an order. But for me, if you're going to order 5 pounds of sunflower, well, I'm going to need 10 days to grow that. I'm not going to have that for you right away, and I'm not going to ship it. But a website is still good, because if you have somebody in your area searching for microgreens, they may pick up your website and find you that way. So, kind of a long video, kind of detailed, kind of ranting. A lot of stuff I said you may not agree with, but this is what I do. It's what works for me. And if you want to hear from me on how I do it, I pretty much just laid out everything I can think of. Hope you liked this video. Hope you learned something from it. If you have any questions, reach out to me. Let me know. Ask in the comments. I'll almost always answer your comments. Leave feedback. Like, share, subscribe. Hit the little bell so you get notifications whenever I make a video. Thanks for watching, guys. That's going to conclude it.